I never thought I'd be the one to bring down Karen Matthews, the notorious HOA president of Whispering Pines. For 3 long years, she ruled our peaceful neighborhood like a self-appointed dictator. Armed with her clipboard and that sour, fake smile that could curdle milk, she inspected every yard, measured every lawn to the quarter inch, and sent out violation notices like confetti. Her mission? To ensure that no one lived even remotely beyond her concept of perfect. But I had no idea how far she'd go or how badly she'd crash. It began the week my sister and her family came to live with me while their house was being fixed up. My nephew Ethan, age 11, was born with cerebral palsy. Brilliant, witty, untamed. A child who would not allow his wheelchair to define him. To make it easy for him to get in and out of the house, my brother-in-law and I put in a plain, removable aluminum ramp across the 2 front steps. Nothing glamorous, just functional. The next morning, the doorbell rang. 7:30 a.m. sharp. And there she stood, Karen Matthews, in all her HOA finery. Platinum blonde bob, designer shades on her head, and her precious clipboard pressed to her chest like a badge of honor. "Good morning," she told me, with that tight-lipped smile she reserved for the instant before she was going to wreck someone's day. "I see you've made an unauthorized alteration to your property." Half asleep, I blinked. "Excuse me." She indicated, manicured finger pointed like a gun. "The ramp. It's not on the list of approved structures. Article 7, Section 12, all exterior modifications are subject to review and approval from the Architectural Committee. You're going to have to take it down right away." I breathed slowly. "Karen, it's a temporary ramp for my nephew. He's in a wheelchair. He's only visiting us for a few weeks." Karen flipped through her clipboard as if reading the universe's laws. "There is no approved accommodation request in your file. You must fill out Form 34B with architectural plans, material samples, and a medical note. The committee convenes on the first Tuesday of next month." I stood there aghast. "You're kidding me, right? My nephew requires access immediately. This constitutes a reasonable accommodation under the ADA." Her sunglasses slipped down just far enough to allow me to glimpse the cold glint in her eyes. "The HOA existed before ADA regulations," she told me, her voice frosty. "Our bylaws override. You have 48 hours to take down the unauthorized structure or receive a $50 per day penalty." And in a flash, she turned on her heel and stalked off, clipboard dangling like a sword of war, leaving me agog on my own porch. Afternoons that afternoon, I did my homework, and wonder of wonders, she was totally, absolutely mistaken. The ADA does cover all HOAs, regardless of when it was established. So I printed out the official papers, marked the important parts, and slipped them in her mailbox with a courteous note stating that the ramp would remain until my nephew left. I even offered to talk it out civilly if she desired. The next night, I returned home from work to discover a bright yellow notice of violation stuck to my door with a $200 penalty. The infraction? Nuisance correspondence in a non-approved mailbox receptacle. Apparently, even depositing papers in Karen's mailbox was against HOA regulation. I chuckled for a moment, until 2 days later, things changed. It was a quiet Saturday morning when Ethan rolled into the kitchen, sobs streaming down his face. "Uncle James," he whispered, "my ramp is gone. I can't go outside and play with the other children." My stomach fell. I headed to the front door, and sure enough, the ramp was missing. Not moved, not stashed away. Missing. Through the window, I could see the neighborhood kids playing street hockey in the sun, the game Ethan had been so looking forward to joining. My blood simmered. I didn't have to wonder who was responsible. I took Ethan down the stairs so at least he could watch his friends play, then charged directly down the cul-de-sac to Karen's immaculate white colonial. Her immaculate hedges, her tiny garden flags fluttering like victory pennants, her citadel of control. I knocked on her door 3 times. She finally opened it in a clean tennis outfit, though she had never once picked up a racket to play. "Where's the ramp?" I insisted. Karen crossed her arms, serene and self-satisfied. "I had it taken out. Section 23 permits the HOA to abate unauthorized objects. You were notified. That ramp belongs to me. I snapped. You took it. Where is it? She blew a dramatic sigh, as if I were the issue. The non-compliant object has been rendered inoperative. And if you keep up this hostility, I'll have to have you reported for creating a disruptive atmosphere. A $500 fine. I stood there, stunned. Karen, the ramp had an $800 price tag. Worse, my disabled nephew can't even get out of the house without it. This isn't merely wrong. It's against the law. She smiled that smug little smirk. I'm just applying the bylaws you signed when you moved in. Perhaps next time, play by the rules. That was when I switched tactics. You know what, Karen? You're right. I should have played by the rules. And now I will. I took out my phone. Say cheese for the evidence photograph. Her face fell. What are you doing? Photographing the individual who stole, I said matter-of-factly, and broke federal disability law. The police will like having an accurate snapshot. I snapped the photo and departed, leaving her spluttering on her immaculate porch. You can't prove anything. The police don't care about HOA issues. She screamed after me, but I wasn't going to the police. Not yet. Rather, I returned home and contacted an ADA compliance attorney. As soon as I told him what happened, he didn't hesitate. This is open and shut, he told me. Destruction of medical equipment, theft of property worth more than $500, and a willful ADA violation. She's in serious trouble. And that was all I needed to hear. The next Monday, I made the day off work. At precisely 9 a.m., two things occurred simultaneously. First, Karen Matthews got a certified letter from my lawyer detailing all the federal laws she'd violated. Second, I made an official police report for theft and medical equipment destruction. By noon, the news had traveled through Whispering Pines. And that's when it occurred. 3 other families approached with their own accounts of Karen's discrimination. Apparently, I was not the first. She had targeted everyone else who didn't fit her scheme of things. Karen's response? Pure panic. She called an emergency HOA meeting that night. Those meetings usually would be ghost towns, just Karen and her 2 loyal sidekicks rubber stamping her tyranny. But that night, it was packed. Nearly every homeowner showed up. The community center was packed wall to wall. Karen stood at the podium, red-faced, clutching her beloved bylaws like a shield. We have a resident, she snapped, looking directly at me, who's attempting to go around our rules. If we let in one unauthorized ramp, before you know it, folks will be painting their houses purple and using their driveways for commercial trucks. The crowd murmured, half skepticism, half annoyance. When she finally broke into silence, I raised my hand. She hesitated, obviously reluctant, then nodded stiffly. I'd like to speak to the board, I said calmly. Specifically about the theft and vandalism of medical equipment off my property. A federal offense. Karen's face turned deep purple. That's a lie, she shouted. The HOA has remediation rights. I raised my phone peacefully. I have security camera footage of you and your maintenance man taking down the ramp at 6:15 a.m. Saturday. It wasn't absolutely true, but the expression on the maintenance man's face was the whole story. I also have the receipt of purchase, I went on. ADA records of documentation establishing its necessity, and written affirmations from 3 medical experts attesting that taking it away threatened my nephew's mobility. The silence in the room was deafening. Karen's supporters refused to look at me. One gazed at his feet. The other nervously twirled a pen as if it would magically rescue him. But I wasn't finished. I've also talked with the district attorney's office regarding filing charges, theft over $500, vandalism of medical equipment, conspiracy to infringe upon civil rights under color of official power, and several Fair Housing Act violations. Gasps filled the air. Then, from behind, a woman stood up. My son is autistic, she said. Karen forced me to take down a sensory swing, labeled it an eyesore play structure. An old man waved his hand. She forced me to take down the handrail I installed following hip surgery, claimed it did not comply with the community design regulations. And with that, the floodgates opened. Each neighbor arose one by one and told their story. Fines, threats, humiliation, all courtesy of Karen Matthews. Each tale worse than the last. Karen pounded her gavel, calling for order, but no one paid any attention anymore. Then the maintenance man paled as Chalk began speaking up at the microphone. "For the record," he blurted nervously, "Miss Matthews instructed me to take the ramp and throw it in the landfill so that it could not be reclaimed." He spoke to me, his face covered in guilt. "I swear, I had no idea it was for a handicapped child. She said it was discarded rubbish." A murmur of shock rang out among the group. Karen's mouth fell open, but no words. 2 days later, I was out in front, installing a new, more solid ramp when a police car crept down the street. It pulled up in front of Karen's house. 2 officers emerged and rang her doorbell. I didn't catch what they said, but soon enough, they walked her out. Not in handcuffs, but obviously under orders. Neighbors peeked from their porches and windows. A few even clapped silently as the Queen of Whispering Pines was finally dethroned. That afternoon, the district attorney called. Karen Matthews had been officially charged with theft, destruction of medical equipment, and multiple ADA violations. Because she used her HOA position to commit them, the charges were enhanced. She was facing up to 3 years in prison and fines exceeding $100,000. The DA clarified there had been a plea bargain, 6 months of home confinement, 5 years probation, restitution in full for the ramp and damages, 200 hours of community service assisting disabled people, and lifetime disqualification from serving on any HOA board. That night, as the sun set over Whispering Pines, I rolled up our spanking new ramp with Ethan, sturdy, silver, glinting in the golden light. Across the street, Karen drove into her driveway. Her formerly perfect hair frizzy, her designer clothes replaced by a rumpled pantsuit. She looked defeated when she spotted us, her face contorted with humiliation and anger. She slammed the door of her car, vanished inside, then flitted back out a moment later brandishing a for sale sign. She rammed it into her pristine lawn so hard I was afraid she'd break the stake in two. For a long time, our eyes locked across the street, and for the first time, I did not look at hers and see arrogance or superiority. I saw fear. Karen Matthews, the would-be queen of Whispering Pines, set-apart woman who bullied her neighbors into compliance with her fines, threats, and regulations, had finally discovered that the law does not bow to her clipboard. And for the first time, she was the one shivering in its shadow. I stood there watching Karen's for sale sign glint in the dying light, feeling a surreal peace settle over Whispering Pines. For the first time in years, the neighborhood was free. No more threats. No more clipboard inspections. No more fear. Ethan rolled up next to me, grinning as the evening breeze fluffed his face. "Uncle James," he asked, "does that mean Karen's really gone?" I gazed over at the vacant house and nodded. "Yeah, buddy, she's gone. And this time the neighborhood wins. Because sometimes justice doesn't ride in with flashing lights or headlines. It rides in quietly, when people stand for what's right and tell bullies that rules don't take precedence over what's right. Whispering Pines would never be the same, and, quite frankly, that's for the better. We didn't merely reclaim our street. We reclaimed our peace. Neighbor Wars HQ Outro. Probing call to action. If you like this tale of neighborhood justice and cold karma, click that like button to send more viewers to this story. Let me know in the comments, what would have been your move if Karen attempted this in your neighborhood? And don't forget to subscribe to Neighbor Wars HQ for more real-life inspired HOA battles, neighborhood revenge tales, and the good moments where the bad neighbor gets their comeuppance. This is Neighbor Wars HQ, where each fence line has a tale, and each HOA bully gets their comeuppance.